Hello and welcome to That Guy's a Maniac podcast, episode number 14. Your hosts today and always are me, Kanji Womam, aka Farley, and this man,
Richie. You know my name. You can still
AKA
introduce me.
aka Richie. We talk about video games and stuff.
Whereabouts?
And all over the place, really. We've got a website, www.thatguys.co.uk. You can find us under That Guy's a Maniac on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, to read, listen, watch stuff, what we've been up to.
Yeah.
This episode we're going to be doing more of a kind of what are you playing around a couple of themes. However, before we get started, Richie, I hear we have a sponsor.
Yes, our sponsor is Chocolina. For all of your Final Fantasy themed items, store wares throughout any timeline. Chocobocolina.
Great. So this week, both of us picked up this awesome kind of bundle. So following the kind of protests worldwide, Black Lives Matter, following the kind of murder of George Floyd, awesome community of developers contributed their games to this bundle through itch.io, or itch.io, called the Bundle for Racial Justice and Equality, and it ended up with over 1,700 different, let's call it digital content. So there are a lot of games. There are also some kind of screensavery type things, some game asset packs. There's a couple of pen and paper RPG kits in there. And this, not only is this just an insane bundle, over 1,700 games.
No, it's 700 and something games, but it's 1,700 items, so they're available on like all different platforms or different
1,741 items.
Yeah.
It started. I think it started around, was it like 500 or 800? And so you could pay £5 and upwards. It's kind of a pay what you think, a pay what you feel kind of a deal. And amazingly, it closed last week. It raised over $8 million, all of which the funds will be split between the NAACP, Legal Defence and Educational Fund, and the National Bail Fund Network across the states. So absolutely amazing thing, and we do tend to think of the gaming community as kind of grotty lot of not very nice people sometimes.
No, very open to use racial slurs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Every now and then, kind of have these fundraisers. Games don't quit, and people just kind of really put their money out there. But what's insane about this? I mean, it's a fantastic cause, and so many developers kind of put stuff up for it. Is that what you get for it is just it's infinite amount of content. There's a couple of at least a couple, maybe 10, 20 roguelikes in there, so those are theoretically
yeah.
I think a lot of people, us included, have found themselves in the situation of, right, I've got 1,700 games and stuff to pick through. Where do I even start?
Yeah, I mean, like, they even address it themselves. Like, when you try to go into your, like, racial justice and equality bundle, they actually have this big disclaimer saying, we know this is really unwieldy and it's hard to scroll through. We are trying to find some way to improve this. We haven't added them all to your library straight away, so you can add them sort of separately. But yeah, so they're still actually, like, itch.io are actually working on trying to make this bundle more navigatable.
Yeah, there's a I don't have it up. There is a kind of third-party website, which somebody's come up with, where you can kind of search and filter all the stuff that's in the bundle.
Brilliant, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it's a really handy resource to kind of get started. And
we'll put the link in in the description. Let's do that.
Save us giggling now. And what I love about, for me, I mean, obviously, it's a fantastic cause, and I'm not usually a PC gamer. I just get absolutely frustrated with buying games and they just don't work, which hasn't been the case so far with anything that I've played in this bundle. What I love about this selection, and I'd be interested to see what you think, because I know you're far less forgiving, I guess, with quirky content. I love that some of this is full on fairly standard games. Some of this is art experiments, philosophy, glorified sort of screensaver, and that's something really that I absolutely, I really love. Just fun digital things that aren't necessarily games or much of the way of games. So I've been looking more for those as I've been going.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I can be a bit of a dick, because I will call something out for not being a game as soon as it is not a game, or I realise that it's not a game or something like that. But yeah, with itch.io, I mean, I've visited and frequented and played quite a few of the games through on itch.io. Our game is actually up there. That Guy's a Maniac game is in itch.io. It's fun to look at that from a developer point of view, and so yeah, I am forgiving in the fact that it is experiments and they are playful, and they are, a lot of it really touches on that games as art argument as well, but a lot of it doesn't as well. So I'm gonna be pretty brash in some of my reviews of some of these games, despite them being really cheap and for a good cause and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, a couple of my other friends who picked it up, kind of been leaning on me, and not that I know anything in particular. This is somebody who plays games perhaps more than most. It's like, what should I start playing? And I was like, I've got no idea. There's one or two that I've heard of. So they've, there's been a group of us just looking for crazy stuff and sharing with each other. And there's something like, there's, I think about a dozen Siren Head, games.
Siren Head games.
Yeah, I'd say Siren Head. Do you remember Slender Man?
Yeah. So
Siren Head is kind of one of those things. It's a creepy thing that everyone and their dog has had a go at making a scary game around. So
okay.
Yeah, just a example of some of the content you can expect to find. There's a million Siren Head games.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So well, let's delve into it. And let's go for what are you playing? And what have you picked up? What has been a star for you in this pack?
So I've been looking to other people for recommendations. So a lot of people who do PC game coverage have kind of put together little articles. And one of the first ones I looked up was a game called Signs of the Sojourner.
Signs of Sojourner.
Signs of the Sojourner.
The Sojourner. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And it's a really like many of these games. There's quite a few of them are non-violent. Not all of them, definitely. Although not necessarily based around combat. And this one, you play as a trader, and you kind of go out on different trips to different towns in order to pick up stuff you're trading stuff to sell in a shop. But the mechanics of how you talk to people is a card game.
Okay. Brilliant.
So it's like a deck building game. But the different cards represent so you don't actually see the conversations play out. They represent kind of different ways a conversation can go, right? So there's kind of logical, emotional, distressed and upset. So as you travel around this map and you talk to various people, various other routes open up to you. But the different areas kind of have different, symbols on these cards. So it's really fun. There's a million different ways to play it depending on which characters you bump into, whether you've got good cards in your deck to kind of have a good conversation with them. I think the first time through I played it, so you get to do, I think it's 5 trips and then the game ends. So it's another thing which I'm thankful of is a lot of these games don't go on and on and on.
Yeah, quite a lot of them are quite short.
Yeah, they're quite short, or you can kind of hit the credits very quickly, and then the idea is that you replay them, which is the idea with this one. So yeah, I think I very much got the bad ending. I couldn't get enough stuff to sell in the shop. Kept messing up conversations with key characters that didn't open up other options. But yeah, really nice, kind of really rough and ready artwork, and the card game's really simple. So you have a fixed deck, and each card will have has a symbol on the left side and the right side, and the basic idea is that you're supposed to match the symbol, and then hopefully the person can match the symbol on your card. But then, as you might imagine, you get various abilities for cards which will either combo or kind of copy symbols or always match. And then a nice little twist to that is the further you kind of travel around to these different villages to try and get enough stuff to head back to your town to sell, you get fatigue cards, which are kind of crappy cards which will never combo with anything. So if you kind of do massive trip, you'll end up with a huge number of fatigue cards in your deck, and then you pick from a hand of 5. So yeah, the idea is that it gets harder to play the longer you can kind of go around. Really, really nice game. Yeah, and I'm quite a sucker for deck building games.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know where you come from. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend giving that a look. It'll take like an evening to kind of whiz through it.
Okay, cool. I'm down for that one.
What have you been playing?
Well, this is the one that I recommended to you as well, Duskchild. Did you ever get a go at trying that one?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't get around to it.
Okay, so Duskchild. Yeah, I don't even know what well, actually, I do know what dragged me into it. It was on the front page when I bought it. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, that looks quite cool. And the reason it looked quite cool, at least to me, is it was straight up Commodore 64 graphics. Straight up. I was like, oh wow, cool. That's like, it just looked like Shadow of the Beast on the Commodore 64 sort of thing. It was very atmospheric, grey. It was a sort of, the Sphinxes in Neverending Story. Kind of like one of them, or 2 of them eventually. And you are walking through as a Duskchild person, and the game itself actually runs, before I even get into the game, it runs on Pico 8, which I don't know if you've heard of, but basically it is a virtual retro console. So it's never seen the light of day as a piece of hardware. However, it exists on a website and people program for it, but they program it as they would like a Commodore 64 or a Spectrum or whatever. So all of the games that run on it are basically like old retro graphics, but they've got a bit more oomph behind them because obviously the world has advanced. So yeah, it's quite cool. It's got loads of other games on there, and there's quite a few actually in the bundle as well that run on this Pico 8 retro console virtual thing, which has its own mad following as well, I'm sure. But yeah, Dustchild was a simple platformer. It wasn't unlike... I actually felt a lot like Treasure Island Dizzy, and that you had to go one place, get a thing, get this, and then you could do that, and then you just sort of went back and forth through screens. You had a very, very limited range of moves, which were you could duck, and eventually you gain a special power-up which allows you to walk through flames. Spoilers. Say it afterwards. I always say spoilers afterwards. But yeah, what I did like about it was, of course, its retroness. It had no music whatsoever. It did have one annoying sound effect. Basically, the old pitfall of a noise when you jump. Boing, boing, boing. And it went on and on and on. But yeah, it's a puzzle. It gets a little tricky towards the end of the game, because some of the jumps you have to make are tough, and so you die a lot. But thankfully they put sort of like restart points very, very quickly, very, very rapidly throughout the game, so it wasn't too bad. It just meant that you had to work out exactly what you had to do right after the save point before you hit the next one, sort of thing. But it was a simple platformer. It ended, and yeah, I think what was also, yeah, I mean, it's clearly in that bundle because the main character is not a generic white guy either, as well, which makes a change in video games as well. But yeah, other than that, it was a fun platformer. Took a couple hours. I enjoyed it. It felt retro, and I mean, above all, it's because I have roots in the Commodore 64. It felt, yeah, it was a nice nostalgia around it.
Yeah, it looks. I'm just looking at a few screenshots. It looks a bit like Metroid, but then there's something about it which reminds me of Shadow of the Beast. I don't know if it's these big.
It really reminds me of Shadow of the Beast. I think it's like because you used to get those weird, sort of grotesque boss characters, and the Sphinxes are kind of like making those great big models that remind me of Shadow of the Beast a lot. Yeah.
No, definitely. Cool. How long did it take you to blast through?
I would say roughly 2 hours. I did, however, I was really shit at it.
Okay.
I know it sounds silly and I know it sounds like an excuse, but when you're playing those types of games on a keyboard and you're sort of like trying to do jump, which is W and D, you know, you got your WASD, and you're pressing that to kind of jump all the time, it just claws you up. And I was just like, fucking, I need to finish this game. I don't care how much it's hurting. I'm just gonna fucking do it, you know? Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Probably about a couple of hours, and if you're good at games, a half of that.
Okay.
So what else have you been touching on?
A quick little one is definitely, you know, one of the, well, essentially a glorified screensaver called Just Rain.
Just Rain.
Just Rain.
Does it just rain?
Yes, it's just a screen and it rains. You know, it's got really, really good audio of rain. You can choose whether it's the default color palette or if it's monochrome. You can. What else can you do? Oh yeah, you can. If you click on the screen, you can change the direction of the rain, and you can also increase the frequency of kind of thunder. So yeah, and I love fun, just little things like that. I think there's a couple of virtual fireplaces as well. But yeah, I've just had this in the background as I've been working. You know, occasionally upping the amount of thunder when I want it to be particularly thundery in my ears. And yeah, it's got a nice pitter patter of rain in the background.
Cool. Well, it sounds different. I mean, does it constitute a game?
No, absolutely not. It's more of a digital thing.
Yeah, okay.
Which I'm all for.
Fair enough. Cool.
What have you been playing?
Well, I'm gonna shit all over one of your points. One game, which I thought, this sounds great, I can't wait to play it, was Babysitter Bloodbath. Which it's set out like an old VHS. Even the front screen is like one of the paper sleeves that you would have inside a VHS as well, and it's got this, the VHS filter over it. It's super 80s. It seems like if you look at the cover of it, it looks like every single horror movie cover that was in Randy McSporran's collection. And as I said, very excited to play it, double click it, and crash. So I'm a little sad about that one, because of all the games in there, I was like super excited, because what a stupid name, what a great concept, and apparently it plays a lot like a PS1 survival horror game. And I thought, brilliant, those shitty PS1 graphics, like Silent Hill or
Cold Blood, all of those ones.
But yeah, I got as far as the title screen, click new game, and then it just crashes on new game. And I've tried all sorts of things. I even looked on forums and stuff like that, and nothing works to get it going. Which is, I know there's shit to bring up, but I was heartbroken. Of all of the ones that I saw, I was like, oh, cool. And then it doesn't work. So, yeah, thumbs down to Babysitter Bloodbath. What have you been playing?
That's a shame. One of the other ones I've been playing... I'm just going to list. Nice one. Actually, I was looking to pick up... Anyway, it's a game called Hidden Folks.
Hidden Folks, okay.
Yeah. And so it's basically it's like a monochrome Where's Wally, but you might, if you kind of look up screenshots or the trailer or whatever, you might recognise the art style. I forget the name of the artist.
Oh God!
But yeah, you see his work here, there, and everywhere. And so yeah, it's just a really fun. Where's Wally? And the levels, as you might imagine, the levels start off as a kind of like a little vignette, and you've got 5 things to find, and then before you know it, it's you've got like a whole street, or you've got like a massive jungle scene. And rather than just being a static kind of Where's Wally, there are various things to interact with. So, you click on like a bush, and the leaves will kind of open up. You click on a waterfall, and you see what's inside. So there's a little bit of interactability.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
With it, and the standard, another kind of nice touch is all the sound effects. I think are made by just somebody using their mouth. So when you click on a crocodile or car or whatever, it's clearly some sound. So yeah, really nice kind of little game that I was looking to perhaps pick up anyway for when we mentioned it 100 times in the podcast. But when you've got that options paralysis, well, what should I play? As a kind of I can just throw that on anytime. Whilst deciding what else to play. So Hidden Folks is a recommend. Cool. And I imagine if you've got younger people in the house, and you need something that's sort of 2-player, with one person navigating, one person watching, that'd be quite a fun thing to do.
Yeah, true. Cool.
What have you been playing?
Well, I ended up delving into a few of the other things, and one of the things that sort of popped out to me was they actually had a project management tool. Now,
Okay.
I mean, I work in project management, and I have done for a long time, and I was like, really? Somebody's made a fucking project management tool inside this and released it that way, and it's quite interesting actually. It's not collaborative, which seems to take completely the opposite angle of what a project management tool should be, but basically it's sort of self-management, and it's called Tape, just TAPE, and it uses basically text files, TXT, but it creates a sort of workflow for you, and it's fully customizable. I mean, it's like a very basic retro I'm too cool to use Trello board. You know. And that's sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I'm always cynical about this project management software that you kind of see, and obviously, you know, if you work at a big company, there's one that perhaps they've invested in. As a like, yeah, how much of this is actually saving any time, or is it just another little thing to make it? You know, 'cause we're all pretending to be busy, right? That's the new thing, is performative busyness. And so like, and that's the only context I've ever seen is one person in the team will be really enthusiastic about, you know, something like Trello or Slack, and everyone else will just be absolute anathema to them, and they just won't engage with it. So how does Tape shape up? Would you actually use it?
No, absolutely not. The like I said, it is for people who are too cool to use Trello. Trello is, in my opinion, a powerful collaborative tool, and we're not going to go further into that. But yeah, it is basically a one-player version of Trello, just so that you could probably have something nice on your desktop, just to say, right, okay, I need to move on to this thing next. That's the thing that I've done. Now I need to move on to that thing, because you've already sort of planned out your game, or your virtual screensaver, or your one-player project management tool, made in a retro style. But yeah, it is a thing, and I tried it out and I thought, oh, this is a thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately Trello's free, and it's better. But yeah,
if you need those tools, which nobody ever does.
So I also wanted to mention that on top of like some of the games that we have in there, there's actually some quite famous ones in there as well. Yes. Ones that were, you know, from sort of mid 2000s. They were big indie hits like Super Meat Boy. You also have The Blinding of Isaac and Octodad, and these were all like free and came along with it as well.
Isn't it Binding of Isaac?
No, it's Blinding. He's blind.
Okay.
Is it?
I'm gonna look that up.
Okay.
He's bound.
He's bound? I thought he was... I'm pretty sure he's blind.
It's not, dude, he's bound.
Is it?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. Well...
Unless there's a knockoff.
Yeah, maybe there is.
There's a knockoff game, The Blinding of Isaac. Everything's just palette shifted.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I've just totally dyslexia'd that one for how long now?
We all have our blind spots. That's fine. And you've been making that mistake since
2011. Yeah. Brilliant. That is absolutely amazing. Okay, cool.
It reminds me, a long time ago, I think it was maybe when the first Dead Rising came out. I had a friend who worked in a game shop, and somebody came in and said, "Do you have that new Dead Rizzling game in?"
Rizzling.
Rizzling. Yeah. I said, "Do you mean Dead Rising?" And this guy was adamant. No, it's Dead Rizzling. And so now we all call Dead Rising Dead Rizzling, thanks to that guy.
Good man.
Yeah. But we've had it a couple of times on the podcast. You don't often have to say these silly gaming words out loud. Rarely.
Yeah.
And so quite often, oh shit, how do I pronounce that word? Or or just having names wrong, like the Blinding Lights. There's one I had the other day, which obviously I've just been making for most of my life. I was like, all right, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean we're human. It's like the damp squid or the damp squid from the IT crowd. Yeah.
And then Ryu, Aerith, Aerith.
Yeah. Although Aerith is a legitimate thing though. That is like the US version had it spelled TH or something like that, and the EU had S.
Yeah, do you know if have they gone with the remake?
I don't know. I actually heard about the remake. And I'm this is such a weird thing to go off on. Did you hear how they've ended the remake of Final Fantasy VII?
No, that's the weird thing is, in my timeline anyway, everyone was super excited for it coming out, super excited for trailers, teaser trailers, and then I saw virtually no coverage at all. And I don't know from other players, and I don't know if that's just because everybody was playing it. But yeah, I've not. It's kind of dropped off.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I got spoilered. Do you want to be spoilered? Do you care?
Yeah, I do. But let's give people fair warning. So this is spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake first part coming up.
Things, and incidentally, they might not even be solid, proper things. It's just things I've read as well. I've not seen it, watched, or played it.
Spoilers for rumours that Richie's heard from his mate's mom at his cousin's wedding.
Work at the Nintendo anyway, so
working at Nintendo. He's got a bootleg copy from Germany.
Yeah, yeah. So apparently, they end it, and they've got this person in who controls fate and destiny. So basically, they've shifted the timeline. So the game's not going to follow what it did before. So they've gone up on the Midgar canon, and this new guy appears who is come back to change the timeline. So Sephiroth is still kicking about, and Zack's still kicking about as well. So there's rumours that he's going to be in the next game. And so basically, the story that we know of Final Fantasy VII isn't going to be the same story.
Because of time bullshit.
Yeah, it's like everybody's doing this. Fate's changing, and it's all because of the blooming Avengers, I think,
It's just not interesting anymore.
No.
And the first one didn't have any of that.
No.
But not the first one, the original release.
Yeah. The first Final Fantasy.
The first Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit disappointing, I guess.
It is a little bit. I mean,
or just on the surface, taking it at face value.
Yeah. It just kind of gone off like a damp squid. Oh dear.
Who gives a fuck about Zack? And every game he's actually been in has been shit.
What? That's because every game that isn't Final Fantasy VII, that has Final Fantasy VII characters in it, is shit.
Oh, that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are talking about the bundle for racial justice. Yeah.
Binding of Isaac.
Oh yeah, the Blinding of Isaac.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just really wanted to sort of put out there that there's actually some, AAA-ish titles out there in that pack as well. Ones that everybody praises very, very highly, like Binding of Isaac had like 10 out of 10, and Octodad's, things like that as well. Yeah. So it's kind of like it was a good bundle, but I'm definitely more interested in some of the other quirkier little ones. But I think there's one that we both played, and I have lost the name for it. God damn it! It's the shopping one.
Oh, Night of the Consumers.
Night of the Consumers.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that was amazing.
There's something about the design and the style that is kind of really familiar to me, but I can't quite place it. But so the premise is essentially you're working retail. It's your first day working in a supermarket. You start behind the scenes. You have to stack shelves, and you basically have to put up with annoying customers.
Yeah,
is the premise? Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It captures. It's sort of like a slice of life of. That's not the word I'm looking for. Slice of life is something else. It's basically a slice. It's taken that time of early sort of 90s or sort of late 90s actually, PC video games. Things like Kingpin, things like Quake, even like the original Quake, and it's got those polygony character people in it, and even the way you move, which is like this far too fast sprinting, and the graphics are like Postal. Do you remember Postal? Yeah. It's exactly sort of like that kind of murky Postal danger feeling that's in there as well. It's like straight up, sort of that Quake Kingpin feeling, and the weird, creepiness
it's
of
weird. It's weird and creepy. Just everything about that, the sound. So you'll be stacking. So you pick up like a box and you'll be stacking a shelf. So, and I have worked in supermarkets, and so
resonates a bit.
Yeah, although it is ridiculous, there's kind of nuggets of truth in it. So essentially, you'll pick up a box and it will say video games or clothing, and then you have to find the clothing aisle. It's a basic kind of supermarket layout. And then find the empty shelf and start stacking it. As you start stacking it, you hear all these customers kind of coming in, and they're all kind of really creepily designed. And they kind of shout at you, and then they'll ask you, I'm looking for this, and then basically you have to run to the relevant aisle that has whatever they're looking for. Yeah, within
like a very, very short time frame as well.
Really short time frame. I just got destroyed by this game so often. I think I maybe unloaded one box in one run through. Otherwise, I either ran out of time trying to get them to find something. So there's like this and everyone's really creepy.
Everyone is creepy. Excuse me, like the actual stacking the actual stacking mechanism of like you get this sort of virtual hand and you have to place the things on the shelf. It's actually quite hard to put you've got to put the video games onto the shelf in just the right way and things like that. And you're like, oh, but it's hard, and it captures that. Sort of, it's a snapshot. That's the word I was looking for, not slice of life. It's a snapshot of those late 90s first sort of PC games, which had these triangular polygony faces and things like that going on.
And then So some of the customers I saw, there was a woman who loses her baby, and then you have to find her baby.
Yeah, like they actually on the opening title screen they say "Beware the baby," you know. Yeah.
And that's creepy. And then there's a guy in a pachouk whizzing around as well.
Yep. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, it's really. Yeah.
When you inevitably run out of time, they say that they want to speak to your boss, and then you enter this really weird short. So you're in the same supermarket, but all the lights are off.
Yeah, it's like the Silent Hill supermarket. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can run around, and then you'll hear your boss's footsteps, and then he's kind of sprinting madly at you, and when he grabs you, it's kind of game over.
You're fired.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird gratiness. Yeah. Fucking fuck.
Screens go mental. Yeah, it's it's creepy and intense.
10 out of 10.
I don't know if it goes anywhere because I just got destroyed by it. So I don't know if you can. If other stuff happens, if you get different customers, if it gets harder, if you change to different supermarkets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was just the first level. I'm not going to play it that much further. It's a tough one,
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get past it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we should really go into too much more detail. Let's just rattle off a few other of the gems very quickly that you kind of spotted from this collection.
The only other one I put some time into is a game called One Shot.
One Shot, okay.
One Shot. I don't really want to spoil it. So, if you have the bundle, or even if you don't have the bundle, look up One Shot.
Okay. Cool. Other honourable mentions. I mean, there's a ton of visual novels in there, and they all seem to be about lesbian love. But there was one that kind of jumped out at me, which is AI Idol, where you play like Japanese Idol, but you're playing a virtual one, and there's a lot of gender blurring going on in it. It looks interesting, and I'm just basically recommending on that. In a slew of Yuri relationships, this one seemed to be a bit different. Just out there. And yeah, the other thing I just sort of wanted to mention as well, which I thought was really quite cool, was so many of the games on there actually
You've done that before, man.
I know, it's a weird actually actually Ken, what I mean, actually. There is quite a few of them actually have actually fucking stop saying the word actually. They don't actually have, they just have. They have co-op abilities.
God, they have co-op abilities. Oh man, what are your words?
So, a lot of the games on there, they use a third-party program called Parsec, and Parsec's really, really cool. It's like an open-source version of Steam's sort of sharing of like shared co-op gameplay experiences, and Parsec basically allows people to play the same game but also interact. Sort of like, remember when we did the Super Mario World, our second podcast, and you were sort of playing remotely, but you were playing a second player sort of thing. It's like that, but it's a program that allows it. So I just really want to give an honourable mention to Parsec and the fact that it's being sort of adopted by all of these sort of indie game players as well. it's definitely worth a look. Definitely something we should look into, like for the podcast, if we ever want to do another sort of video podcast, because that is our roots. But yeah, just sort of it's quite cool. I had a hunt for One Shot, like you said.
Yeah.
And I can't find One Shot. Is it spelled in? It's just one word. Okay. So One Space Shot, got nothing. Okay, One Shot, cool. A surreal puzzle adventure with unique mechanics and capabilities. Okay, cool. Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
Anything more that you would like to mention or say about?
The last one, which I've got ready but not touched, is called Wackamarina Valley.
Wackamarina Valley.
Wackamarina Valley, yeah. And it's one of these. It's like a short, hyper-realistic scene based on a real place in New Zealand. So you can kind of walk around, take photographs. Just like walking around in a kind of real subtropical rainforest.
Wow, yeah, just looking at that is hyper real. That's cool.
Yeah, and interested to see how it's gonna run on my laptop. Depending how big it is.
Yeah. I imagine it is a little bit special. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So another example of this, just the kind of digital things, not necessarily game adjacent, digital experience stuff that's on this bundle, which I'm kind of really looking forward to having in there. It's like a big smorgasbord.
Yeah, it's a massive smorgasbord. But there's a lot of similar themes in there. I mean, there is a lot. I know that I was like quite excited about Babysitter Bloodbath, but there is a lot of 80s, 90s sort of vaporware stuff going on. I think we mentioned this briefly in the previous podcast, but everybody seems to love that art style of like sort of purple squares on a grid and all that sort of thing, and it's very, very standy outy. And like I said, so many visual novels, ridiculous amount of visual novels, and they all seem to be about some kind of a relationship which is not the norm or the binary. So it's quite often same sex, or it's furries, or other things like that as well. But yeah, tons of things in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just Dungeons and Lesbians is one that. And the description is mildly dating your best friend forever in the midst of a game of D&D. Sounds fun.
Yeah. But there's absolute ton of visual novels in there. I'm actually quite excited for you to dig out that link for how to sort through them, because I have been in the middle of a nightmare of trying to find them. Like, I was trying to tell you the other day there about Dustchild, and I couldn't remember the goddamn name of it. So, I had zero idea. I couldn't have told you what the name of it was. I was like, I knew it was Pico 8, so I typed in Pico 8, and then a big bunch of them came up, but nothing that was actually Dustchild. And I'm like, fucking hell, how did I get to it? So I ended up going through 59 pages of it until my girlfriend walked in and said, "Did you not play it before? Will it not be in your history?" Oh, yes! So I ended up going back 3 days in my history, through all that swathes of porn, until I actually found Dustchild,
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Great fundraiser, and like I say, you could probably never buy another game again and still never touch any. One of my friends was kind of said, right, I'm going to play it from page 1 to page blah blah blah, and then he worked out that I think it's like if you did a game a day or an app a day, I think it'd take you something like 3 years
Yeah.
Yeah. Finished.
In other sort of news as well, there are other bundles available. Humble Bundle's doing another one for Fight for Racial Justice as well, which has a few more known titles such as Jackbox and Football Manager and NBA and other games like that as well. It was a real mishmash. But Humble Bundle will also have another bundle. Fight for Racial Justice it's called. But yeah, that's it. I think we should leave it there. Anything more you wanted to mention with regards? Okay, cool. Yeah. I want to talk about mobile games.
So, for those of you who may not have read the many pages, years worth of archive on that guy's Maniac, one of probably our longest lived features, the occasional update, is mobile games, called Mobile Games.
Are they any good
yet?
Yeah.
Are they any good yet? Because both Richie and I were quite cynical about mobile games. Particularly, I remember it must have been in the early 2000s when it was the bandwagon that everybody was jumping onto, and loads of UK developers flipped to making mobile shitty mobile games.
And this was like the generation just after sort of the Nokia brick phones, which they all had Snake on them, but it was pre-smartphone, and it was like the Symbian, and like, oh my god, these devices, they would just play ridiculous like Amiga games that you had to move around by pressing your actual key buttons on your phone, and you would, oh god, so it's like if your keypad was like 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, you would have like 2 would be up, and 4 and 6 would be left and right, maybe 5 because in the middle would be your fire button, and you would move around as Robocop, or you would move around as some other cartoony character, original shit, crazy frog wannabe thing, and yeah, you would just go through the levels and you would shoot things and they would crash and they'd be awful, and they were all written in Java, and
there'd be one game every now and then that would sell really, really well, do really, really popularly, let alone
it would do its rounds on the council estate sort of thing.
And the other 99% just got no tracks and were awful. So 2020's update, mobile games.
I mean, there's been an evolution of how mobile games have gone as well. We can't sort of just gloss over that. Like, I mean, mobile games have, since they transitioned to the smartphone, and of course the adoption of free to play or ad playing, it's just
free to start.
Yeah, free to start. Free. The first one's free. Whatever, man.
I've got some sweeties. I've got some more sweeties in my van.
And I mean, everybody knows this, and South Park coined it in the best way. It's like using the old Japanese RPG mechanics, or like the roguelike mechanics, and then just monetizing them. And that's all games really have become, as sort of monetization models. Now, I speak from a hypocritical standpoint, because I tend to always buy games or mobile phones which are the gamer mobile phones. I've had so many in the past which are modelled to be like handheld video games playing. Even my smartphones. I had the Razer phone. Razer, popular manufacturer of like gamer headsets, gamer laptops, gamer mice. They made a mobile phone which was supposed to be the gamer smartphone, you know? And yeah, things look pretty on it. Right now, I currently have the Red Magic 5G, which again it's got a button specifically on it to turn it into gamer focus mode. But there's a weird irony there in that
gamer focus mode. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it really does. It really fucking does. It's got an actual switch on it. And
so you hook it up to your balls and it injects Mountain Dew into your balls.
It's straight up.
Phones your mum and calls her a cunt.
It also activates the cooling fan within it as well because it's got a really. But that being said, the massive irony with that entirely is that all games for smartphones are built and designed to run on the tiniest, shittiest smartphones so that they can reach the biggest, broadest sort of appeal possible. The only games that actually make any difference, or you can see any difference on with these phones, are A, emulated games which are illegal, or like the big budget AAA ones, like Asphalt and things like that. But they aren't very good. They're just sort of like big AAA. Look at me! Look how amazing we are, and there's little gameplay there. So I don't know why I keep buying games with mobile phones with ridiculously good gamer specs in it, because ultimately I play Pokemon Go.
It's your journalistic integrity. So even though you've not yet once been rewarded, if you know there's actually a decent mobile game, of course that's not fair. It's broad statements. You will have a device that you'll be able to see it at its best.
Yeah. But yeah, I also, because I only recently got this phone, the Red Magic 5G, I have
Red Magic 5G. And what's the name of the button again?
I don't know. It's like gamer focus mode.
Gamer focus mode on the Red Magic. Oh man. Okay.
Anyway, it's because I obviously got this phone, I decided I'd sort of jump back into a few mobile games and see if they are any good yet. And I mean, there's a few that I sort of like just saw and decided to pick up on, play about with, and I'm just going to touch on a few because we'll get to are they any good yet, and I think most people, including yourself, know what the answer's going to be. But yeah, Farley, do you like the TV series Archer?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like it, or you're not on.
It's okay to have on the background, I think.
It's okay to have on the background. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I think it's funny.
They didn't. It's funny, but they run out of steam somewhere in like season 700.
I don't know. I think it's kept up its pace quite well. With it sort of changed up, like some of the scenarios where he was living in World War, he was in the in space and things like that. I think that was quite a cool way of changing it up. Anyway,
it was still just all the characters shouting at each other though.
Yes, and yeah, it's weird. For the sake of
Okay, sorry, I'm not. I should just be doing improv. Yes, and right.
yeah. So let's go back to.
Okay, let's do it. Start from the top. Okay, yeah. We can edit this out. We'll definitely edit this out.
Yeah, definitely edit.
Definitely editing out.
Yeah. So Farley, do you like the TV series Archer?
Yes.
Good. Then you must like the mobile game based on the TV series Archer.
You know what? When I've been watching and enjoying Archer, I've often thought, you know what would be a compliment to an animated TV series about people shouting at each other? A mobile game.
Yes. Well, your prayers or desires have been answered.
Oh my gosh.
In the game, which is called, and it's based on a little joke that they make or repetitive saying. You know how they always say danger zone in Archer? So, because it's a mobile game, they've called it Archer Danger Phone.
Okay.
That's an audible vomit sigh. That was quite a good one. Oh, a little sick in the back of the throat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of thought had clearly gone into that. And Danger Phone is a game of numbers which has characters from Archer visible. There is no sound bites. The music doesn't seem to be the music from Archer. And it's a lot of numbers. So the concept behind it is Krieger, the mad scientist, Q person from Archer, is creating a Bitcoin digital currency, and he's running simulations on how best to do this. And it's a roguelike, so you have to gain influencers to create currencies. Incidentally, that currency that he's creating is the currency that you can also use in game alongside actual money and alongside alcohol, which is the third currency.
I hate everything about this.
Yeah. And it's basically one of these ones where you get a number, and then once you reach a plateau, you get a combo bonus to that number. So you're not only collecting 1,000 at a time, you're now collecting 1,000,000 at a time. And yeah, it just goes on and on and on like that. And it has a very veiled story over the top of it. But again, no voices. Nothing voiced over it. And it asks you to watch ads to speed things up, gain more alcohol, or there's multiple things for actually how to watch ads. But not only that, ingeniously, they have also included a second version of the game within the game. So you not only play it once, but you're playing the game twice whilst you're accumulating all of these influencers and money and alcohol. Yeah. It is it's a thing. And of course, have you just like gone? Are you vomiting right now on mute?
No, I just I'm just imagining, not that there was a meeting, right, or even a room, but however the decision came about, you know, whether it was somebody went after the Archer license, whether it's
somebody went after the Archer license, and I can tell you why this is. because it already exists in about 3 or 4 different forms alone that I know of. So there's an identical one to this called for the Trailer Park Boys, that TV series, and also It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Exactly the same thing again, and it's just these roguelike collect money and make references to the TV series.
Yeah, but not even. That's the frustrating thing. So when we went to Las Vegas, which is a weird place in any way,
Yeah.
one of the weirdest parts of it is when you're walking around the slot machines. Almost anything that has ever has a logo or whatever is like has its name attached to a slot machine.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's like this, right? Is this anything to do with Archer's like tiny? It's got the name.
That is all it has.
Story. Yeah. That is all it is, and it's the same feeling as when you're walking around the casino floors of Las Vegas. It's like, oh, here's the Ellen DeGeneres slot machine.
Yeah.
Here's the, here's at least 5 different Jurassic Park, Jurassic World slot machine. Here's, I don't know, old El Paso slot machine.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's just, is somebody in marketing is it that lucrative or is it why is this, why does it exist? This is what I want to know.
Yep.
Why?
No, I'm with you entirely, and it is purely just a cash-in. It is straight up like, right, we've got the license to this, what are we going to put on top of it? And it's the same games over and over and over again. But again, like, there is an appeal to, like, if people are fans of shows or people are fans of Star Wars, there's a million games out there, that are just got the Star Wars name but are not Star Wars games, Yeah. Like, you could go back to something very, very simple, like not even Battlefront. Battlefront is a very good example. Like, you get these Command and Conquer likes, but they've got AT-ATs in them, and you're like, oh, okay, this is the Star Wars version of Command and Conquer. Great. I mean, what's the point? But yeah, it is a thing. And so, I mean, this kind of brings me on to the point that I kind of made there, but these are just ad machines. And what we were talking about earlier about me calling out when a game is not a game, this isn't a game. It is just a way of churning through, creating bigger numbers, which creates a little dopamine hit. So you're just like, oh, I'll watch the ad just so that I can get the bigger numbers. And it's fucking cruel. And it's offensive as well. And yeah, it'll run on any fucking phone. It is not even that complex.
Did you, when you were playing it, did you activate gamer focus mode on your phone?
No, I didn't even need to. I do not need fucking fan cooling.
Gamer focus mode on!
Maximus. But yeah.
What's your number? This. Transform.
Oh dear. But yeah. There's other ones that I sort of dabbled in as well. But the other thing I'm trying to get to on my previous point, the ads there are all ads for other games. Like, you will sit through and you'll watch an ad and it'll be an ad about another game, and they're awful. Because I've been watching them sort of repeatedly. I just see these games and you're just like, this is not what this game is. I know it. It's just like a lie.
The other day, we watched like original TV, old school TV. So live television, not live television, but turning on the television.
Yeah.
Excavated the remote, hooked up the wires to watch original TV, and all these shitty games. I think it's been there for a while. The kind of the semi-solid scum that floats to the top of these games has really penetrated kind of daytime TV. So there will be old school TV adverts for. And they're always based around kind of dungeon running or castle. It's like there's a tombola of genres and words.
Yes.
It's never actually Lord of the Rings or World of Warcraft, but it'll be, Lords of War.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll show you.
I'm literally going on Google Play right now. I'm looking up Lords of War. I bet it fucking exists.
and the footage will clearly to people who are familiar with the kind of games.
There is several. There's Lords Mobile, which is one of these generic shouty man, and then there's Lord of War. And then there's Lords of Empire, Kingdom War.
Yeah. All this shit.
Throne, Kingdom at War. Sorry, go on.
God, yeah. And it'll just be a CG sequence, right? Nothing to do with the game whatsoever.
Yeah.
It will look vaguely gamey, but nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, and it'll ultimately just be some sort of tower defense or or it'll be like a build 'em up nonsense. Like early Settlers games, or even like Command and Conquer, but you, instead of mining for fucking ore, you're actually mining for ads, and your ads make your troops stronger, and you upgrade them, and then they put an energy mechanic in it as well. So you can only watch 50 ads per hour.
It's if you enjoy playing some of these games, fine, all straight. If it's what you use to pass the time when you're supposed to be working or on the bus or whatever, fine. They exist, they're out there. But I think the premise of them is hateful. They are hateful games.
Yeah. Offensive.
Yeah. And one of the best things the Consolvania guys did, this must be years ago now, one of the kind of game developer conferences kind of commissioned them to do a video about, I don't know, the UK games industry or the Scottish games industry or whatever. And so they go around talking to these British developers there, and they're all working on these shitty mobile games, and you can just see the disdain on their faces. They're creating these interviews, right? Because everyone's just invested in this bubble, and maybe one or two of them will do anything that's good. And at the time, it's when everything was about dressing up. Do you remember when dressing up games were a thing on mobile?
Yep.
Everything was about dressing up. They were just not really cynical about it, just asking, these games like, this is what the games industry, this is what a part of the game industry has come to, and I just think it's just itching away, digging away at that little margin of you've got the whales who are going to spend silly money on it, then you've got your next tier who are going to spend a little bit here, and it will just be cynical, hateful way to rake in money.
Yep.
They're just shit. They're just buy an old DS and whatever 121 world games, You
Yeah,
have to pay.
exactly. It's the same
Infinitely
thing.
better. Yeah.
And again, there's no fucking ads in there as well. But the other thing that's really hateful about these adverts as well is the sex sales scenario.
Mm-hmm.
There is just so many of them, and there's one ad in particular that kept coming up. But it's for a game which seems to have different names. So, like, I found 2 different names for it, and there seems to be other ones as well. Kiss of War and Zombie Invasion. And all of these ads basically feature sort of like World War II women. Sort of like women sort of dressed up like World War II, you know, the poster of the
Pin-up girls.
Yeah, and also the one of you can do it or we can do it sort of thing. But basically they have big guns, and I don't even know what the game is. It seems to be like a sniper shooting thing, and one sequence is this: the woman who's actually got like a military hat on and very very tight jeans. She's doing a sniper shot, and so the angle is kind of like over her shoulder, and he then focuses in on the sniper, so you actually get to see her view as she's sort of looking around, and you can see how it's a game. Okay, it's highlighting, you know, these zombies, or there's an explosive barrel. That's the usual thing. And then as she's about to shoot, the camera zooms out to her butt. She then fires the shot, and her butt ripples like jelly as she fires the sniper shot. And it's just like, what the fuck is this? And then it follows the bullet to like explode. So all I can imagine is in this game, it's got like this perfect reload, which is sort of like a butt wobble as well. But yeah, like it exists in different names, so it seems like all this sort of stuff. And I looked it up on YouTube, Kiss of War, and there seems to be like solitaire or not solitaire. What's the other one? Like a Texas Hold'em poker game. And she reacts, and she's always flirtatious, and they've got these different models, but of World War II, and it's zombie Nazis maybe. I have no idea. I'm not going to play it, but everything is so super sexualized, and literally, like, I was speaking on the phone to you. I was speaking to you on this, and I picked up my phone, and I was on Facebook, and I just scrolled to a game which is called Honor of Kings. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. A very good example of your generic Tumblr of names and words. And Honor of Kings just basically features a purple elf woman showing you her butt. Okay. Just like this big purple butt, and she's slyly smiling over back at you, and you're just like, what is this? Why is this being, you know, sort of like marketed at me? I mean, obviously, yeah, massive pair. Yeah. But yeah, like obviously it's like I had one of the other games I was going to talk about, and I'm not even going to talk about it. I watched Zombieland 2 the other day there, double tap, and there's a game of Zombieland on there. I thought, alright, okay, I'll have a quick look at that. Again, it's another fucking thing where it's, instead of you're collecting money, your damage goes up against zombies, and that goes up in ridiculous amounts, and it has the same plateau shit that was in the Archer game. But yeah, it's just straight up like nonsense zombie games, and that's why I'm getting so much of this. zombie games and look at this and look at these ads, and you watch the ads and you hate them, and you hate yourself, and I hate free to play, and I think there's only one other ad that really annoys me, and it seems to be a generic ad that every game has, and you know that none of the games actually feature. And it seems to be this thing where you have a hero and you have a princess that needs saving, or you have money, or you have a goblin, and there is fire and there's water, and if you out, they will then somehow, it's a logic puzzle of you get the fire lava to go first, and then you cool it down, then the hero can go and save the princess without getting attacked by the goblin. And it's just like, none of these games actually feature that pulling the pin puzzle, but it seems to be something that every game is marketing. There's like, I saw an advert recently, and it was that pull the puzzle thing, but it was for Ebony. Do you remember Ebony at all?
Oh God, yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, that one that was like told off for like using Lord of the Rings images and big-titted women.
And it was just everywhere. You couldn't move for like at least 7 Ebony pop-ups.
And I was like, fuck, I didn't even know this game still existed, and yet they're using this stupid pull the pin advert. And I guarantee it's not even in the game. It's just fucking ridiculous.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's happening? It's like the algorithm has told them that this, if you have this in your ad, people will click on it. Yeah,
it's just like, oh, this is a logic puzzle. Oh, I know how to do this. I can work this out. Okay, I'm going to play this game. Oh, wait a minute, this game doesn't actually feature this. Oh, well, I'll watch this ad instead. What the fuck? But yeah, like, there's so many things out like that as well, and there's so many sex sales games as well that you guarantee are not sexy games in any fashion. It's like, it's Google fucking Play. You're not gonna get sexy games. You'll get casino games.
Yeah, well, particularly with things like Ebony. Didn't they get into trouble because they basically start spamming your contacts or spamming your Facebook? Something like...
Yeah. I mean, this was 10 years ago or something like that. Ebony was like a thing. I think it actually started as a browser game, did it not?
God knows. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, in conclusion... ask me the question.
Mobile games, are they any good yet?
No, and they might be getting worse. They might not be games. That's the thing.
Kenny, move the mobile games doomsday clock 5 minutes nearer to midnight.
They're no longer games. They're ad machines. That's all they are.
They're just clicking. It's just like psychological exploitation machines.
Yeah, dopamine in return for a 30-second ad.
Into, like, subconscious reward systems. Oh well.
But yeah, like I'm gonna see if I can find that jiggle butt advert on YouTube, because you have to see it just to believe. What the fuck are they trying to do? What is this game? Why are they selling it? But yeah, it's just like, why? Oh, why? But yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up on this podcast?
No.
Good.
That's the other content to the next one.
Cool. Right. Well, say goodbye, Farley. Alright, fine. Bye!
Bye!